In this episode of Suitcase Diaries, we are talking to Ron, who's back from a recent 10-day cruise through the Panama Canal on board the Norwegian Jewel.
So join us today as we learn what it's like to cruise the Panama Canal.
And also we're going to talk to Ron about some of the struggles people go through when having to fly to a cruise. So hi, Ron. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to Suitcase Diaries.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, Ron, tell us a little bit about your cruise experience. How many cruises have you been on? What type of cruise lines you generally travel with?
Actually, it's my first time. It was my first cruise. Kind of knew what I was getting into when I got there, thanks to all of you, and we had a lot of fun.
Wow, that's phenomenal. First
cruise, and to do a cruise like that first time, that's usually everybody starts with a nice, easy Caribbean cruise. You went right at it.
Yeah.
So what made you choose this itinerary and specifically the Jewel? Was there a reason, or was it just the first one at the right price?
You're gonna make me tell my secrets. Actually, friends of ours have a travel agent friend out in Halifax, and she was putting together a group cruise, and they talked us into doing it. So I thought, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We'll give it a shot.
That's lovely. We're trying to convince some people to join our group cruise that haven't done it before right now. So that's a great way to start with other people.
It's a really good first time experiences to do with the group, because you're with a bunch of other people that have cruised before. Some of them yes, some of them no. So you've got the newbies and you've got the experienced people, and they kind of break you into the whole thing and let you know what's going on. So, and you have sort of a group of people and you don't feel alone on the ship.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So,
sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, so we understand you had some challenges with flying to the cruise. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. I see you guys go on your trips down to your cruise ship, and I think, wow, they have never any trouble. It always seems to go perfectly for them. Maybe some hotel issues, but other than that, they have no issues. We had the flight from hell, and it was booked with Norwegian Cruises themselves. We had that deal, where the second person flies for free or whatever. And this is how our itinerary went to go down. And what that was we live in Moncton, New Brunswick. We had to drive 2.5 hours to Halifax, get on an Air Canada plane there to fly to Toronto, to get onto a KLM plane to fly to Amsterdam, the Netherlands in Europe.
What?
To get on another KLM plane to fly down to Panama. We were like 26 hours in the air, and from door to door, we were it was 34 hours total from house to hotel.
Well, now, was that deliberately planned that way, or did something happen in cancellation? That was the best they could do.
It was March break, and they actually had us doing the same thing in both directions. I managed to get a more sensible arrangement for the return trip. Living in Moncton, you're always going to have like a 2-stop kind of thing, but at least on the way back, it was more reasonable. But that flight to Amsterdam and then back down to Panama, that was, what was it, 7 hours there and like 11 hours to Panama. It was unreal.
Yeah, that does seem unreal.
That is crazy. Like when we plan on going to Europe, we're always thinking the flight is so long that we want to go there and spend a long time there and come back. You literally just went there, jumped in another plane, and came back
and kept going.
That's great. It's crazy.
We had 2 hours in the KLM lounge.
Oh, wow.
It was so bad. I was standing by the laboratory waiting for it to open, and one of the staff, I don't know whether he was a flight attendant or part of the flight crew, but he says to me, so, where are you going? What you doing? And I'm like, oh, we did this and this and this. He went, huh?
Yeah, right. Okay. So it's not just our reaction. Everybody feels that way.
I've never heard of anybody doing anything like that before. So it was just a freaky trip that I don't think anybody will ever have to do again. So don't take that to give you fear or fright.
Wow.
It was the time. It's the current issues with flying, and it was March break, so we kind of got messed up.
We do understand what traveling during March break is like. It's never a pleasant experience.
But still, that was quite the initiation to your first flight, to your first cruise. That's for sure.
Yeah, that takes the cake for sure.
We're experienced travelers, so it wasn't too bad. But
Yeah,
that first flight was something else.
for sure. All right, so you finally make your way to Panama after a long, horrible time. Wow. How was embarkation at the port?
Embarkation was pretty simple. We did the cruise line's little taxi bus thing. It picks you up at the hotel. Like, we spent the night. We came the day before, spent the night, and they picked us up at the hotel about 10-ish. They drove us to the Pacific side port. Like, Panama City is mostly towards the Pacific side. So they drive you to the Pacific side port. There happened to be some marathon going on. It was a bit slow. And the port there is under construction.
Oh, great.
So we actually went into the convention center there. We had to wait in line. It took maybe an hour to go through the whole process, and we were on the ship, and that was it. It was pretty efficient.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
and I guess you don't have anything really to compare it to. With this being your first cruise, I'm just wondering how it would have compared to them. So you would have went through. Did you do U.S. immigration into Panama, or how did that work? Getting on the ship? Did you?
When we flew into Panama, we had to do the immigration there, and that's a little bit weird because we came in on the airplane, and then when we were going through immigration, they checked our bags again, going through immigration. So that was a little bit weird, but. Then they stamped our passport, and I was a little I didn't know about how that would work, because then we spent the night, then we went to the cruise port, and then we took off. They just checked our passports, looked for the stamp, and stamped it again, and that was it. We were done.
Okay.
The bigger slowdown was getting through the Norwegian side of things, but it was very efficient. It was just a rush of people, and I'm amazed how fast they get through it. And I've watched a lot of cruise videos, so I have a vague idea of how long it takes, and I don't think an hour was particularly unreasonable. We didn't have to do the vaccination checks thing at that time, so it wasn't too bad.
Right. Very good.
Yeah, interesting. So you're there, you've gotten through that hour-long line. What kind of cabin did you have, and where in the ship, and details about that?
We did an inside cabin, and it was roughly midships. It was a bit more towards the stern, but it was roughly midships, and it was kind of halfway between we were deck 9, so we were, and it's about 14 decks, so we were roughly middle, and we were room 9613. It was an inside cabin. It was a nice cabin. It was beautiful. The ship was renovated, dry docked and refurbished just before COVID started, and then it went in hibernation for however long it was, and then it only had about half a year, 9 months before we got on it. So I thought we did pretty good. The room or the cabin looks like it's brand new, like it's immaculate. The room steward was excellent. The size of the cabin was reasonable to me. The bathroom was very good. Lots of room to move around. The shower was, you could swing your arms around and do everything you had to do, no problem. I was very impressed with the cabin. Even my wife, who was a little bit claustrophobic about it, after her first hour, she thought it was great. Couldn't hear anything, and it was, I don't know, it was great for a first experience.
Well, that's wonderful.
To myself, I'm laughing at all the different pieces you put together for your first cruise, the crazy flight.
Yeah.
A lot of people doing their first cruise, they don't want to do an inside cabin because they're afraid when they want fresh air, they want to see their horizon, all those different pieces. But you didn't have any problem with the inside cabin with anything motion, or didn't miss the light? How did that work for you?
No, not at all. The light was fine. It was dark, of course, when you get up, but with your various devices plugged in, there's still a little bit of light. I had no issue with motion whatsoever. I could feel a little bit of motion. My wife was worried about it, but she didn't really have any issues with it either. And we picked an inside cabin because, well, frankly, I'm Dutch and I'm cheap. For the Panama Canal cruise, it was about $2,000 more for a balcony cabin, and I said, "Nah, I'll go on deck."
We've done that many times for sure.
Yeah, for sure. When you
It means I can go cruising more often if I do the inside. That's how I look at it.
I'm with you on that, and my inclination is I'd like to try a balcony cabin, but if I scan the sales and stuff, various cruises have balcony cabins that are a couple hundred more, and this one was $2,000, so I said forget it.
Yeah, that's a significant difference. The only time we've sort of upgraded is, like you said, when they have the sales and it's only a few $100s more.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure. And Norwegian does the bidding process. Did you get offers for that or try that, or you just were happy with the inside?
I put a bid in, and I got a message back that said, "Yeah, forget it." No, actually, when we got on the ship, it was made clear that there was not, and never was going to be any rooms available for upgrading or anything else. It's a bucket list cruise. It's one of the things that a lot of people want to do, and there's not that many of them, so it's not one you get for cheap.
they sell out. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about our favorite subject on a cruise ship, food. Let's start with talking about your breakfast and lunch options and what you found with food.
Breakfast was largely in the Oceans pub. They do a breakfast there. It's generally quiet. I'm an early riser, so I'm up by 5-ish in the morning. So Oceans like 24 hours a day. Although, to be fair, they don't do much in the midnight hours. But by the time 5 o'clock rolled around, they were ready to make me some breakfast. I sat there and caught up on my cruising Canucks and did what I had to do. And then when my wife got up a few hours later, I watched her eat breakfast, and we did do the main dining room a couple times just to do it. Had an eggs Benny, which were beautiful. They did, the omelets, the eggs Benedict, and some of the more fancy eggs Florentine and that kind of thing, which was really nice. The food was excellent. The service was amazing. The food in the Oceans was also very good, but it's more diner style food. It's the bacon and eggs with some fried potatoes or with some toast or whatever. And don't have the poached egg at Oceans. Now you do it with a little bit of vinegar in the water. Well, I think they put a spoonful of vinegar in with your poached egg, and it's.
Oh wow! Good to know
for sure. And so lunch. It's funny that you said Oceans because when I'm on Norwegian, especially that class of ship, one of my favorite things is to do Oceans breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So
he would do it all the time if I let him.
So where did you go for lunch? Were you back to Oceans, or would you find the buffet or main dining room?
We did do Oceans once for lunch. We did the buffet once for lunch. We did mostly for lunch. We did the buffet a lot for lunch, actually. We're not huge buffet fans. And the Norwegian buffet was okay. It wasn't great. But we did the Lido deck grab and go thing there. We did the pit stop for lunch. And often we were in port. So we do lunch in port.
Right.
Like I'm inclined to go to a local restaurant or whatever and eat something there just to experience a bit of their own food. So I like that kind of thing, and it makes me happy. But no, the food was amazing for breakfast and lunch. It was everything it needed to be. It had some interesting things. They did a fruit bowl if you wanted that. They did the French toast, which was really good French toast. And they satisfied you.
Nice. So how was your dinner experience? Did you do main dining room, and did you try specialty or any of those other options?
Well, we did the free at sea, so we got 3 specialty dinings, and I bought one extra. because I just wanted to do it. The three specialties. Let's start with the main dining. For the main dining room, we tried both Azura, which is their one main dining room, and then there's also Czar's Palace, which for some reason they were calling just the Palace. They left the Czar's part out. I wonder why that might be. But that food was really good. It was top notch. I had I think I had a fillet one day, and I had some kind of turkey thing. Another day, my wife had fish. Every day. And it was well presented, well served. It was hot. You didn't have to wait for it. It was very, very well done. And the palace dining room is along the back of the ship, and it's all windows. And if they can seat you right beside the window, they did. And most of the time we got to sit up against the window and just look at the ocean go by as you had your dinner. It was really lovely.
And did that menu change every night? Because I was talking Norwegian about changing and having the same offering options every night in the main dining room, but I haven't heard anybody see that yet.
They had a main selection list that was common, and then there would be the night's features. And it was about 5, 6, 7 items that were features, and they were like, if you were in Colombia, they would serve you something Colombian, or what was on there. There were just different things. It wasn't really all that exceptional, but they were different than the other things. What did I have on there once? I had a schnitzel of some kind, which was, I think, a pork schnitzel, and that was done amazing. It was really well done and well presented, and they had some kind of mushroom gravy on top that was just to die for.
Nice.
And so what was your favorite specialty of the four you did?
Hands down, the Cagney's was our favorite. It was the best restaurant experience that we've ever had in our entire lives. And the food was amazing. My wife had lobster, which was an upcharge. A significant upcharge for that lobster, especially since we're now living in Hilton. No, the food was amazing. The staff were great. The sommelier picked just the right wines, and it was hands down everything I could have hoped for. The Le Bistro was good. Not good, but good. I was expecting more from that because I've eaten at a French restaurant with a 2-star Michelin chef before. Everything is let down after that. But it was still good. It wasn't bad. It was just not quite what I expected. The main dining room would have been equal. We did the Brazilian steakhouse, which was called Moderno. That was really nice. We did it as a group with the other people in our group, and it was a lot of fun. The meats were excellent. The vegetables and the salad bar is amazing. It's got everything you could possibly want in it, and they don't leave you hungry, and it's very well done. The one we picked to do was the teppanyaki, and we paid for that just to do the experience thing. And it was a lot of fun. They did it very well. The only letdown there was, it seats for 10, and 2 couples bailed. So it kind of messes up the vibe of the whole thing. The other teppanyaki table was buzzing, and ours was kind of me. We didn't have any lively people in our bunch, and I'm not one of them. So, I wasn't there. And I've eaten food Asian before. It's good. I just expected more from Norwegian.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's move on then. You told us you had the did I say
the free at sea?
Free at sea package. So let's talk about the lounges and the bars. How were they, and what was your favorite?
Let's see. On the Jewel, they have 3 bars that are below the Asian restaurant and the teppanyaki restaurant. It's on the same level as the casino,
Okay.
and they're literally one continuous bar that they divide into 3 bars.
Right.
One is a martini bar, the other is a cocktail bar, and the other is a whiskey bar. It sounds contrived, but it actually works because the seating and all that is kind of vibed around each thing, and it's kind of low light and mellow, and they have a piano and a small stage, and they usually have a pianist or a guitar player or a vocalist or somebody there to entertain you, and it's very personal, and it's very low-key and relaxed and comfortable. The bartenders were great. They'd make you anything you want. I kind of was sticking to Crown and Coke, but
Ah.
I get to Vibe Jerry. That has always been my thing. Nothing Crown and Diet, though. That's wrong.
Wrong.
But,
That's how I stay so slim.
Yeah.
well, maybe I should do something about that. But the bartenders were great. The beverages were good. They weren't. They certainly weren't giving you watered down alcohol. That's for sure. You have a few of those wobblies, and you would be wobbling.
Yes.
Which I didn't do, but a friend of mine did. She had to stagger her way back to her cabin.
Did you make your way up to the mojito bar between the Brazilian and Cagney's? Is that where it is on that ship?
Actually, in the Brazilian.
That's right.
So
yeah.
the only time we got to the mojito bar was on the Brazilian night. We kind of wanted to do it before then, but it was only the last day because the Brazilian was our last sea day. And we realized, oh, that's where the mojito bar is. It's in the Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah.
The other ones that we went to, and they did great mojitos, by the way. It was a Ukrainian guy that was the bartender, and he did a great job. The other bars we went to were Pit Stop Bar was a common one because if you're on the deck, that's where you're going for some nibblies. You're going there for your booze or whatever. Same with the whatever you call the one on the Lido deck. Like the Pit Stop Bar is the one floor above the Lido deck, and it's at the bow end of the ship, and the Lido deck one's at the stern end of the ship, of the Lido area. That was good, and my favorite space was and kind of adjacent bar was the what do they call that thing at the front of the ship? Oh, I'm losing it right now. It's basically Spinnaker Lounge. That's it.
Oh, yes.
And it's all windows all around. I tell you, in watching all the cruise videos I was really happy that we happened to pick an older ship like the Jewel, because I look at these big behemoth ships and I go, what do you mean there's no windows to the outside? What do you mean you can't really see much unless you go actually on deck right by the edge, and there's only a few spots you can do that. And the Royal Caribbean ships that are completely turned inwards, I'm like, no, that's not for me. I'm going to be at sea. I want to see the sea. And Norwegian older ships, newer ships, they seem to have really embraced the idea of it has to be part of the sea. You have to have a promenade deck. You have to have a Spinnaker Lounge. You have to have all that. And for me, if it didn't have that, I wouldn't want to be there. I want my next cruise, which probably going to be a year away, to be on the Viva or the Prima.
Okay.
Because they've taken the big ship concept and sort of stuffed a modern old style ship in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we agree that we've always said that put us on a ship where you don't see outside all the time, and what's the sense of being at sea? You might as well be at a big hotel somewhere, because we want to see the sea when we're walking through the ship or sitting at a bar or a lounge or a restaurant. So yeah, I agree with you for sure. So entertainment, how did you find music around the ship? And the main theater is always a big one for us. And what did you do in the evenings for entertainment?
Evenings, we spent a lot of time in the bar. Not that we're alkies or anything, but they always had somebody there, just playing or singing or whatever, and that was pleasant. It was always we seem to get there always at the end of their sets, but we had a lot of fun with that. We went also to the main theater, which is the Stardust Theater. We missed Velvet though, which is the big show, because it was the first night.
Oh, wow.
The first night we turned in at like 9 o'clock.
I guess after that flight you had, for sure.
And we missed the 7 o'clock show. So like we just got on, we figured out what was going on, and then that was it. You know, we'd already missed it, and then we're like, oh, we can't stay until 9. No way. We missed that show, but the production value of the shows were amazing. They had the Rock You or something, where it was a tribute to rock and roll, and from the 50s up to the 60s and 70s, maybe even the early 80s. And that was just sort of a cavalcade of music, and it was wonderful. Very well acted, very well sung and performed and danced. Another show was a magician. The other show was a magician who was really amazing. He did a great job. And he was actually from Quebec. He was a Parent or something like that. And I thought, oh, he's a Frenchman. Turns out he's a Frenchman from Quebec. But he had a great show, and I wouldn't give it away, but he kept working with this paper bag, right? And you're following this little skit along, and then there's some big surprise at the end that you just can't ignore it. It was a lot of fun. And the other show that sticks in my mind was the kind of aerial acrobatics kind of show. It was music, singing, but also an acrobatic show that was involved. They had people over the audience, doing spinning on the bar and doing kind of like bungee jumping down to the crowd, where they're like 4 feet away from the guy in the seat. I'm like, that guy's not that small. I don't want him falling on me. But
nice.
It was a great show, and I honestly didn't think they would do something as grand and extravagant as that on a ship.
Wow.
And I know there's much more impressive shows at sea, but I was extremely happy with what they offered. The production values were great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've always liked Norwegian's entertainment. They put on good shows for sure. Yeah.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and with a magician, right?
Ron, he's saying this because I tend to avoid the magician shows because I get frustrated, because I want to know the answers of how they did it, right? And so
it's magic.
I walk away frustrated at the end of it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going again because it just ruins my evening. I'm frustrated.
You would have been very frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to do any of them. And that last paper bag was like, huh?
Yeah. That would have just been like, okay, I'm done, because it's okay if I can figure it out, but if I can't figure it out, then I'm frustrated. Not very good. Anyways, let's talk about the sea days in the pool space and the deck space on this ship. And
how many sea days did you have, and did it feel crowded, or was it a good size ship for the number of people?
How many sea days did we have? We had 2 sea days. I'm sorry, I have to look down at my calendar. We had 2 sea days. It was a port-packed itinerary, so we didn't get a chance to be bored of sea days at all, and I don't think I would have been. I love the relaxation. We would spend a few hours on deck. We found a chair and some shade. We are not sun lovers. I have 2 colors, pasty and lobster. My wife will tan, but I don't. And that was entertaining. I like doing that. That was we'd read a book and just chill. Actually, I would listen to an audio book, and my wife would read a real one.
Oh my goodness, sounds familiar.
Sounds like us.
That's us.
I got into reading audiobooks commuting from Barrie to Toronto. It really made the drive a lot easier. What else did we do? My wife, she got into the art painting. Like they had painting classes on there, so you can paint. That's right. She did that, I think, 3 times, and she really liked it. She did a spa day where she did the whole spa thing, and she really enjoyed that. I'm not a spa person, and I just chilled. I went and drank.
Right.
Sat in Spanker Lounge, listened to my audiobook, I just did a lot of chilling.
Lovely. That's what sea days are for. I love them. All right.
For
A lot
sure.
of time in the Spinnaker Lounge. I like that spot.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so with this itinerary being port intensive and being kind of a bucket list for a lot of people, the focus is on kind of the port days or the canal days. Maybe we'll kind of run through the ports and what was your favorite and how did that go for you when you got off the ship?
What would be my favorite? I was trying to think of that because I like them all. I'd been to Curacao before, so I really enjoy Curacao. I'll get back to that. I'll sort of do them in order.
Okay.
Our first thing was actually the Panama Canal itself. It wasn't
Right.
a port stop, but it was a full transit through the Panama Canal. So we were leaving from the cruise terminal in the Pacific side of the Panama Canal. We transited all the way through the Panama Canal. And when you do that, you go through the Pacific locks, which is amazing watching a cruise ship being lifted up in the locks. And it's a once in a lifetime experience to do that. And then a lot of people don't realize there's lakes in between the two sets of locks. It's not like just one big long canal that you just sort of stay on a straight thing and that's all you do. Now you cruise around the lakes and the ship will stop. There's a guy who's a local a naturalist guide kind of person that tells you about the history and the nature of Panama as you go, and he points out different features, which, for the record, we started the Panama Canal at about 6 a.m, and so did he on the PA.
Oh, so you weren't sleeping in that day if you wanted to.
Yeah, you weren't sleeping through that day. No way. Some people complained, and then the captain came on and said, "We know some people are a bit upset about being woken up early, but we didn't think you wanted to miss the main feature of this cruise."
Exactly.
Makes sense.
We did that. It was really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. But it was warm, it was hot. We went inside. We listened to the musician in the bar. We spent some time around. We spent a lot of time actually in the pool that day. They're good sized pools on the Jewel, so you get to really enjoy yourself. Not too many kids at all. So we basically had all the pools to ourselves. The kids somehow ended up in the hot tub, though. I don't know how that was. That was irritating. With their parents, for God's sakes. But then what did we do? Okay, after Panama Canal, the first port stop was Costa Rica. And that was interesting because we were doing we decided to book a shipboard excursion, and that was the Costa Rica cruising eco train through the jungle and plantation tour, something like that. So what you did is you got on this cruise train, eco train, which is kind of an old historic train from about call it the late 1800s. And you would drive along and you saw the plantations and a bit of the jungle. And we saw pineapple was big. We saw a lot of banana plantations and we stopped and a local gave us some baked goods like a cookie that was amazing. Better than any cookie on the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was really good, and it was still warm. I mean, as in just came out of the oven warm. It was really nice. Wish we could have got a couple more. We were already gone. Then from there, we went on an eco cruise through the canals, through the jungle. We saw some sloths. We saw not up close like some people have been able to do, but we saw them way up there in the tree somewhere, and maybe spent real hard. We saw like a ruined bridge and a lot of birds and other wildlife. It was a nice little trip through the jungle. It was a lot of fun, but it was kind of sedate, which suits my wife and I for our adventures. We're not getting all that excited, but we enjoyed ourselves. We thought it was a good time. From there, we had a sea day. which took us down to Colombia, Cartagena, Colombia specifically. And we did a little bus tour there. We went in the old town. We saw the fort. We did some photo ops by the main fortification, and then we went into the old part of town. There's jetties down in the old part of town. You walk out by the water and see some interesting historical things. They have like statues of various important persons in their history. What else do they do? And it's right by the water. And then you go through like a village market and all that. That's kind of fun. And then they take you to the obligatory souvenir shop.
Right.
Always.
And most of your time to do that thing. But it was still good. It was fine. The souvenir shop had the washroom. Everybody was happy about that. And we did that. And actually, the best part was when we left the tour and we were back at the cruise terminal. We didn't know, but on your way back in, there's a little green, kind of like almost like a petting zoo kind of thing, a little natural area, a little park, and they've got all kinds of birds and other wildlife. Another sloth, a couple sloths were there that you could see up close, peacocks and pelicans and toucans and parrots and all that.
Wow. Cool.
So it was really nice, and that's just so as you leave to go on your cruise ship, you get this final thanks for having you here, and it's really quite nice.
For sure.
And the cruise ship, of course, greets you with cool towels and beverages and get you on the ship. Kind of some cool technology getting you on the ship. Once you scan in the first time, they just scan your face and that's it.
Yes.
But,
It's a lot faster doing that than having to scan those cards that we've done for so many years. We really like that upgrade of just having my face looked at. Yeah.
They still wanted to look at your card for some reason, but they just sort of held it in their hand and passed it back to you.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what that was about, but I think it's a switcheroo. Oh, I should mention, we did get nailed on that old-fashioned thing when you board the ship and you have to do the lifeboat drill and all that.
Oh, the muster drill. Yeah.
We got that little window where they went back to doing that, so we got to experience that.
Well, see, every first-time cruiser should feel that. So
part of your initiation.
it's part of the initiation into the cruise world.
Yeah, well, we got a few initiations on this trip.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah. The next stop was Aruba, which I hadn't been to before. I'd been to Costa Rica before. I hadn't been to Panama or Colombia before, so we were in Aruba. Aruba was good. It was interesting. We just did it was a very short trip. We had like 4 hours. It wasn't a long stay. So I just did a very basic walk around the cruise port area, the shopping district, and they have a neat little tram there that's electric, and it takes you through the shopping district, and you can just do that. It's kind of fun. It was entertaining. A lot of the shops were closed though. As in no longer in business. So you could see that they'd been hard hit by COVID, and that they hadn't really bounced back yet. So that was a little sad to see. We did have lunch in the town, in a cafe, a couple of beers, that kind of thing. It was nice, but it was a little sad at the same time. I think you guys were on your New Amsterdam trip too, right?
We were, but we didn't really spend any time in the town because we did an excursion where we were on a catamaran right away. So we've been to Aruba before, but obviously prior to COVID. So we loved the downtown core, but that's sad to hear that that's happening, but it does make sense. We've seen it in some other ports that we've been to recently that COVID has definitely.
It's just a matter of time. It'll bounce back and
exactly.
It was still very well kept, and the people were super friendly, and they were glad to have you and all that. We were going to go on an excursion that involved, snorkeling and a beach party and that kind of stuff. But when they rearranged our itinerary just before we left, and it meant we went from 8 hours in port to 4 hours.
Yeah, that's
cruise
short.
alone was 6 hours, so
Yeah.
it would have been cut short. So I had to get it canceled.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we were in Bonaire, which we did do an excursion in. It was a lot more fun. We did the snorkeling thing, and we went to Klein Bonaire, which is a basically
Yeah.
sandbar, just off of Bonaire. And we went to the beach there. We snorkeled deep sea snorkeling, and then near the sandbar snorkeling deep sea. We were still
Yeah,
between Klein Bonaire and Bonaire, so it's not exactly deep
Right.
sea, but
Yeah.
the currents would take you. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You weren't careful. So we did that. They had, it was a nice excursion. It was just a boat exercise. We went out. We did our snorkeling. We spent some time at the beach. They gave us a little talking about the biodiversity and the coral reef and what you could expect to find, and a little bit of a tutorial. They were nice people. They had beer. That was good.
That's good.
It was a hot day, so we were looking forward to that beer. It was not free; you had to pay for it, and it was not cheap.
Okay.
They had the little baby bottles.
Yeah. We found that.
We
when
found
we
them.
were in- yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed that tour. My wife and her friend went and did some shopping and did some more spa stuff and that kind of thing. So they entertained themselves. So that was Bonaire. We hadn't been there before either, and I had no idea how nice Bonaire is. It's a beautiful island. The town is beautiful. The people are beautiful. The food is excellent. We spent a good bit of time sitting at a cafe right there just outside the cruise port, eating some food, drinking a couple of drinks, and just spending time enjoying the life being there. It was good. It was really good. Our last stop was Curacao, and that was, well, it's not our last tour, it was our last port stop. And in Curacao, because we knew the place, we'd been there for a couple of weeks one time, and we knew it really well. And we weren't going to be there that long. We thought we would just wander around the downtown and do what we had to do. We went there on Sunday, though. Word to everybody, if your cruise is going to Curacao on Sunday, book a tour, because the downtown shopping district is closed. I don't know how someone stays in business when big cruise ships come into town and they don't open up.
Yeah.
But there was a few shops open, so we did look at them. We went to a restaurant. We went to the Cura Hollanda Museum, which was pleasant. We didn't go inside. We just went in the courtyard around it because we'd done the whole museum the last time we were there, and it is a must see if you haven't done that. It gives you the full history of the island and the slave trade and all that, and very, very, very well done. It's a beautiful place. I kind of missed the hustle and bustle of the downtown core. Curacao is not your standard tourist island. Their main economy is banking and petrochemicals and shipping and that kind of thing. So the tourism is like maybe their third or fourth industry. So you don't have that constant hassle and hustle for money, and you don't feel like you're the center of attention. You're just there to enjoy them. It's like when you go to Europe or Canada or the States. You're a tourist, they like to have you, but you're just there.
Yeah.
You do your own thing. And certainly nobody was hassling you for anything, because they all have jobs and they're all doing their own thing. And and it's, I think, frowned upon getting, like, that's what if you want to hassle tourists for money, set up shop.
Yeah. Right.
And that's kind of interesting. They say that because we were there and we thought it was kind of odd. We were there in an evening stop, and there was a ship there before us. It was a Norwegian ship. It came and it went, and we got off. And we thought, okay, well, we'll see what Curacao is like in the evening as the sun goes down. and all of a sudden all the shops were shutting down.
Everything was
They were
closing.
going home, and we were walking around through all these streets, and all the stores were closed. We thought, oh well, I guess we're going back to the ship now. But we thought they'd stay open for the cruise ships. But like you said, I guess that's not the big priority there.
6 o'clock
No.
came and they were shutting the doors.
Yeah, and it's nice in that it's not their priority, and it gives a different vibe to the place. You get to really enjoy it, and it's a very safe country. Like it's gotten a little bit more. I don't want to say it's dangerous. Toronto is no more dangerous than Curacao, but it's it's suffering a little bit from the COVID epidemic and a little bit more poverty right now and so on, but it's still nothing. It's still, you can walk around there at night fairly safely.
Right.
And anything you would do in Toronto, I think you'd be able to do just fine in Curacao.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yep. So kind of wrapping things up, the debate we've always had, and a lot of people want to know is the Panama Canal cruise worth it if all you want to see is the canal? Or in your case, you did a bunch of other really good stops in the Southern
Really?
Caribbean,
Yeah.
so kind of added to it. What do you think? For those trying to consider a Panama cruise, is it worth just that, do you think? Or what was your experience on that?
I geeked out a little bit on the canal itself, but transiting the canal was an entire day. There were some people that stayed all day on deck, taking thousands of pictures, looking at everything. I'm the person that goes, it's kind of like going to an art gallery. My wife will spend the entire time 8 hours staring at art. I look at it for a minute, move on, find a place to sit down, wait for it to catch up. The Panama Canal is different. My wife was not at all interested in that. She liked the part with the lakes in the middle, looking at the jungle and the buildings and the farms and things like that. I geeked out a bit on the Panama Canal, didn't care that much about the in-between part. And once I geeked out on the Panama Canal the first time in the Pacific locks, by the time we were going through the Atlantic locks, it was like, yeah, I've been there, done that a while. So maybe I'm not the best person. I'm glad I did it. It was an experience that we got to do, and that part was fun. We ticked something off our bucket list, but the highlight for me was really all the other stops, particularly the Southern Caribbean when you're into the ABCs and that. Those are really, really nice places to go.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
we still, I'm a little jealous of you though, Ron, to be quite honest, because we haven't been to Bonaire, and it's been a port that we've been trying to get to. And every time we go down to those southern islands, we go to Aruba, Curacao, but we can't seem to get a ship that wants to bring me to Bonaire. So I'm a little jealous.
The Panama Canal cruise to get to Bonaire.
There, that might be how I have to do it.
It's worthwhile. It was a good experience. It was.
Okay, well, thanks, Ron, for telling us all about your Panama Canal cruise, and we're starting to get more and more convinced that we might give this a try. So, but we like your idea of tying in some really good ports with it. So I think that's a good piece of advice for sure.
If I can get Bonaire in the mix with the Panama, I'm there for sure.
Yeah. So thanks very much, Ron, for joining us.
Yes, we appreciate having getting a chance to chat with you and find out what your experiences were like.
All right. Thanks for having me. It was great. I've really enjoyed your vlog. I've watched it right from the beginning and followed you along. And I wish you guys all great success in what you're doing and share the experiences. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. We enjoy it so much. So thank you so much. Yeah.
All right.